Meeting to order this Board of Works and Safety this Monday, November 18th, 2019. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of November 4th.
Mr. President, I will make a motion to approve the minutes of our regular meeting on November 4th.
I'll second that motion.
No further discussion. I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is request for signage. Raymond Peterson, 401 Beach Street, requesting the placement of two 20-mile-per-hour speed limit signs at the east and west ends of Beach Street and the placement of no through traffic and dead end signage at the intersection of Beach and Hoyt. Mr. Peterson here.
Hi, I'm Raymond Peterson. I live at 401 Beach Street. It's a very short street, dead end, that tees off of Hoyt. And when I bought my house, I bought it because it was a dead end street and there was hardly any traffic. In the last 10 years, the pastor of the church on Ohio Street built a house, poured gravel at the end of the street, poured gravel so he would have egress and ingress to his house on Beach. And then the church traffic started driving through there, and he also has a daycare center, and they started driving through there. And then he took that piece of land and subdivided it and made the house his own private property, and then he paved it. And then the traffic really started to develop along there, and they drive very, very fast for a street that has 6 houses on each side.
Okay.
And I'd like to put a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit sign at the front and the back of the street. As a matter of fact, I just realized there was one on Lawndale as well, or Hawthorne. I didn't even know there was one over there until they put their flashing lights telling me how fast I was driving. And also perhaps a no-through traffic at the beginning of Beach and a dead-end street. They have a dead-end street sign now, but it's at the dead end. So everybody drives all the way down there and then they turn around in Mike Dresky's driveway, and he doesn't like that.
Okay.
So that's it.
All right. Captain? Oh, you can come.
Sure, okay. Spike Powell, Michigan City Engineer. I've investigated the situation, and I would recommend, as far as the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, that the traffic department consider that, but the no-through traffic and the dead end, I think that would be appropriate. So those are my recommendations.
Okay. Anything to add to that, Captain?
Yes, good morning, Captain Jeff Lineski, Traffic Division. Mr. Peterson is correct. Since the church established kind of a through street there, it's created a big problem because traffic is actually using Beach Street to connect Ohio Street, because they can actually drive all the way through the driveway in the parking lot of the church located on Ohio Street. So I see the only way to resolve this would be to put dead-end signs at the intersection of Beach and Hoyt, and also to reduce the speed limit to 20 miles an hour. I did speak with a representative of the church. However, they were not really receptive to placing any kind of barrier there to prevent traffic.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the recommendations by the city engineer and MCPD on the sign placement and place on the pending list.
I'll second that motion.
No further discussion. I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is a request to place gravel in the area of 905 Colfax Ave by Harvey Picorni, and so he has more access to his property. See here?
Yes, my name is Harvey Picorni. I live at 905 Colfax, and we are in the process of trying to establish an official alleyway. It's been a platted alley since 1918, and recent construction has allowed us to drive on the undeveloped alley back there and access our property. And we are requesting to lay gravel as an interim in lieu of what the city may do with it. And that's essentially it.
Okay.
Morning, Spike Peller, Michigan City Engineer. I've looked at this situation. I handed out some pictures and stuff. One shows that this particular home is landlocked other than the alley access. The other picture shows the alley as it exists. And right now I don't know whether we can pave it or not because paving is kind of shut down a little bit. I know we've
It wouldn't be this year.
yeah, well, we've suspended paving on Pine Street because of the weather, and I would ask maybe that Central Services, if they can, place millings on the alley. That would, substantially work on that. I've also asked Tom Weinman to look at if we are doing some more paving, to maybe look at paving that alley, which I think eventually would be the recommendation. I think not only would be good access for the home there, I think it's also important for, police, fire, ambulance, and everything else to have good access to that landlocked home.
Okay. Any more discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the request to place gravel in the alley. That is predicated first upon Central Services taking a look at it and perhaps placing milling in the alley, and also to put this on a pending items list and perhaps see if it can be paved next year.
I'll support the motion.
If there's no further discussion, I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is request for street closures by Abby May, Michigan City Main Street. Is requesting the annual Self-Ice Brewfest Saturday, February 15th of 2020, annual St. Patrick's Day Parade Saturday, March 21st, annual Taste of Michigan City on Friday, July 31st through Sunday, August 2nd, and the annual Flame and Flare Halloween Festival on Saturday, October 21st, which carried forward from last year.
Thank you. We have a couple of changes to the request after speaking with Captain Lineski, EMA, and our rental vendor companies to be able to make things run a little bit smoother. Those changes would be made to the Shelf Ice and St. Patrick's Day items. For Shelf Ice Brewfest, which is held on February 15th, we would like to close 7th Street from Pine to Franklin, that's east of Franklin, and 7th Street from Franklin to Washington, that's west of Franklin, at 8 a.m. Thursday, February 13th. That leaves Franklin Street open. And then Franklin Street would be closed 8 a.m. Friday, February 14th. And roads would reopen then on Sunday. This allows for all of the structural tents to be put up and for the workers not to be working Friday morning at 8 a.m. through 3 in the morning the next night. So they'd be able to set up the 7th Street tents on Thursday and the other two on Friday. Then for St. Patrick's Day, I spoke to Captain Lineski, and he said that we would not need to close the northbound lane on Washington. I think that when I put that in, I was thinking of what we do for the boat parade, so I apologize.
The rest would stay the same.
Yes, sir.
Can you give those changes to the clerk's office?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yeah, I will do that this morning.
Any further discussion?
I did talk to Abby before the meeting, and she will be getting all of the certificates of insurance as they come prior to the events. And she will be, the layout is similar to last year, and she'll just give us an updated layout with the 2020 designation on it.
Okay. There's no further discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the request for street closures by Abby May, Michigan City Main Street Associations, with the amendments that she added on the closure of 7th, and then no need to close the northbound lane on Washington, pending receipt of these insurance certificates.
I'll second that motion.
No further discussion. I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a request to use city lots. Abby May, Michigan City Main Street is requesting to use 7th Street lot under redevelopment commission on the northeast corner of 7th and Franklin, the Swale Park Music Festival for Saturday, June 20th, 2020, and use of Westcott Park for that event.
Yes.
Is there more?
So,
No?
nope.
Okay.
Just a simple request. For the First Friday Art Walk, the first Friday is going from May to September 2020. We would like to use the small lot on the northwest corner of 7th and Franklin, which is owned by the RDC. In order to get that permission, they require Board of Works approval. And then we would like to use Westcott Park for the Swale Music Festival. Same as last year, same layout.
Any more discussion? You agree with all these, right, Captain? Okay.
And Mr. President, same thing with the insurance. It'll be given prior to the event.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for the use of lots for the Michigan City Main Street Association First Friday Art Walk Summer Series beginning May 1st, 2020, June 5th, 2020, July 3rd, 2020, August 7th, 2020, and September 4th, 2020, between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. The request is to use the lot that is owned by the Redevelopment Commission, and this says the northeast corner of 7th and Franklin. Is that correct, or is it the northwest, because that's what you had mentioned?
It's the northeast, thank
The
you.
northeast, all right, and also in addition...
No,
No,
it's
it
not,
is
it's the northwest.
Okay,
It's northwest.
And then that is a correction to our...
Thank you.
Then the other matter is to use Westcott Park on June 20th, 2020 for the Swale Park Music Festival between 8 a.m. and 11:30 p.m. and to provide the certificates of insurance to the clerk's office when available.
Thank you.
Support.
No further discussion. I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. I appreciate you letting us put in our 2020 request now as
I've
the
been
events.
advocating for that for years, that we all know when the events are going to be. Why not start off the year and approve them all at one time?
Well,
So
good.
I
I'm glad that
appreciate
worked out. It allows us to book larger entertainment acts as the events have grown. Once we know the events, it's also easier for the departments. So we appreciate it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of a vendor license by Ron Lathrop. Slice of Heaven is requesting approval for the transient license to sell Christmas trees at his mobile food location at Brant's Old Fashioned.
Morning.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Ron Landtroop, 425 Ogden Ave, Michigan City.
Okay. Did you do this last year?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Planning has no objection. Okay. Legal's okay?
Fine.
Police okay? Any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the vendor's license for Ron Landtroop of Slice of Heaven to sell Christmas trees at his mobile food location at Bransfield Fashion, beginning in November through December daily from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Second the motion.
No further discussion. I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next item is another approval of a vendor license. Derek Waldlig, Northwest Indiana Lawn Care, doing business as Weedman Lawn Care, is requesting approval of a canvasser peddler solicitation license for 1 month, November 20th, 2019 through December 20th, from 9:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. to canvass areas door-to-door to obtain basic information from homeowners and free quotes for lawn care service for 2020.
My name is Derek Wadley, 1870 West 84th Drive. Excuse me, 1870 West 84th Drive, Maryville, Indiana, 46410. Basically, we're just a lawn care company in the area, Northwest Indiana, just providing free quotes for folks that need any fertilization or weed control needs for the upcoming spring. So we want to make sure we go through the proper procedure here in Michigan City.
Good, glad to hear. Is time limit good? Is that 7 usually? Not?
What time do you have that you're going to be soliciting?
I mean, normally most cities allow up until 7 o'clock at night. So we generally start the day, our first knock's usually around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then we'd finish out around 7 o'clock in the night.
I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but I think that sounds correct.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for a vendor license from Derek Wadley, Northwest Indiana Lawn Care, doing business as Weedman Lawn Care, to canvass for 1 month, November 20th through December 20th, 2019, from 9:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. The purpose is to canvass areas door-to-door to obtain basic information from homeowners and provide free quotes for lawn services for the 2020 season.
Support.
No further discussion. I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks, sir.
Bye. Next item on the agenda is approval of change order certificate of substantial completion. Tom Wiedemann from Haas and Associates. You're not him. For Community Crossings Matching Grant.
Spike Pellet, Michigan City Engineer. Yes, this is, there's 2 items here. There's a change order number 1, which is a decrease of a little over $13,000, and also the certificate of substantial completion for this project. This is the Community Crossings Matching Grant Program, Eastport resurfacing. I believe everything is in order, and I recommend that this board approve that.
Okay. Any further discussion? No. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the change order number 1 for Walsh and Kelly, amending the total contract price to $82,401.44, and approve the certificate of substantial completion.
I'll second that motion.
Further discussion, I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Are you Martin Bolchek
Yes.
today?
No, I'll
Next
announce
is
my
a certificate of substantial completion for the 2019 Michigan City Community Crossings Matching for project divisions 1 through 8, certificate of substantial completion by Reeve Riley.
Spike Pellet, Michigan City Engineer. Again, this is a request for a certificate of substantial completion, and I recommend that this board approve that.
Any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for certificate of substantial completion for the Community Crossing Matching Grant Paving Project, Divisions 1 through 8, by Reeve Riley.
Support.
Further discussion, I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
We're going to do this now.
Yes, I believe everybody's here.
All right. We have policy upgrades by Andrea Smith, Personnel Director, requesting acceptance of upgrades and changes to the dental plan and at no additional cost to employees. Lincoln Dental, new provider.
Good morning, Board. Craig Menney, President of General Insurance Services here in Michigan City. As you mentioned, Mr. President, here seeking approval for a change in the Employees Dental program. Currently, that's administered by UMR. We received a variety of quotes, and the best came back from Lincoln Financial. We never know the precise savings until we know exactly who enrolls, but seems conservatively we will save at least $60,000 on a gross bill basis. That does come with some pretty significant enhancements to the coverage. The out-of-network reimbursement level is higher. On the base plan, the benefits are more than double. And then on the enhanced plan, there's some improvements such as orthodontia for adults that's presently only covered to the age of 19. So excited about the plan that Lincoln provided. We did work to negotiate. Dr. Kessling in Westville was not in that work, but will be at the beginning of the year. So for the employees using his services, that'll represent a pretty significant saving. So on a kind of equal basis, this is a good move from a network perspective, very good move from a plan design and a cost perspective.
Good. Any other discussion? Now I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the policy upgrades, to change the dental plan with no additional cost to employees, with the added enhancements of the plan for Lincoln Dental as the new dental provider.
I'll second that motion.
Further discussion, I call for a vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is another policy upgrade. Is requested acceptance of upgrades and changes to EAP plan with no additional cost to employees.
Yeah, that's correct. So presently the employee assistance plan is provided by New Avenues. We've had some gaps, unfortunately, in their service, and so the recommendation is to move to CuraLink, frankly, a much larger EAP provider. They're also a bit more tech forward, so it'll give the employees the opportunity to do some proactive behavioral health assessments. There's cognitive behavioral therapy, so folks struggling with addictions or anxiety, stress, those types of things will have access to some very innovative tools and resources on that front. There also is a cost savings associated with this move it'll be several $1,000s over the course of the contract year.
Any further discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for policy upgrades to the EAP plan with no additional cost to employees through CuraLink, and also the enhancements and cost savings involved.
Support.
For discussion, I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a contract approval by Clarence Hulsey, Economic Development Corporation of Michigan City, requesting approval for the contract for professional community and economic development services by and between the City of Michigan City and Economic Development Corporation of Michigan City, effective January 1, 2020, and not to extend beyond before December 31st, 2022, for a sum total of $150,000.
Mr. President, Mr. Hulse is not here today, but there was a typo in the original contract that was filed with the clerk's office. It is supposed to be a 2-year contract at the sum of $150,000 for each year. Mr. Hulse would like this board to consider a 2-year contract. Services would still be the same, The amount would still be the same. The only thing different from prior years is that it was a 1-year contract. But he's asking this board to consider it as a 2-year.
Okay. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Wayne Perry, 2206 Maple Street, Michigan City, Indiana. Mr. President, board members, I strongly recommend that you table this item until after the first of the year, after the new mayor and council take office. It's inappropriate to encumber incoming elected officials with a service contract that occurs during their term without them being in office. Also, per a court ruling in the case of UAW versus Madison County, Indiana, 2014, it's illegal to do this. Thank you.
Want to research that?
Sure, absolutely.
So we'll
Please table
over
it.
to the next meeting. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Paul Przwolinski. I'd like to speak on this contract approval also. I do believe that it's been a policy to extend, or not extend, but approve a 1-year contract. But I also agree that this particular item should be tabled till the first of the year, or after the first of the year, and not, I agree with Mayor-elect Perry that let the new council and the mayor review this, because I personally, after the last council meeting, have some questions about EDC and who holds title to certain lands, and I want an explanation on what they have to do with any of this title work on property. So with saying that, I do agree that I think it's not right to approve this going into next year with a new council and a new mayor. Thank you.
Money's in the budget for it, isn't it?
Good morning, Board. Sean Fitzpatrick, 4th Ward Councilman. I do agree with Councilman Przwolinski and Mayor-elect Perry. I just had one question I wanted to ask of Mr. Holst or whoever's here. What was the motivation or the reasoning behind extending the term to 2 years versus the 1 year? Thank you.
Hi, Jenny Lee Haynes Peterson, Economic Development Manager for Economic Development Corporation, Michigan City. The reason to renew to extend the contract to 2 years instead of just a 1 year is to help us plan job training partnerships, business recruitment partnerships, and I would like to remind the council that we have had a 25-year relationship with the City of Michigan City, and we would like to continue that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I will entertain a motion to carry this over to our next meeting so legal can investigate the claims.
So moved.
Seconded.
No further discussion. I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
So you want this on pending, or are you tabling it?
No, pending,
Okay,
right?
thank you.
Yeah. My motion. Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of the claims and payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims and payroll as presented.
There's no further discussion. I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is the unfinished business pending items. First item has to do with the purchase of city-owned property on Main Street. Anything further?
So we checked with all the city departments and received all feedback. No city department has any objection to the sale of this parcel. So then I took another step further and I went to see how we acquired this parcel. So the city acquired this parcel back in 2010 by virtue of a commissioner's deed. So if we did decide to put this up for sale, because it was transferred by virtue of the commissioners by tax sale, we could offer it to the adjacent surrounding property owners. And then they could bid on it if this board so chooses.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that the city attorney proceed as she has outlined, giving notice to the adjacent property owners and giving them the opportunity to bid on this property.
Support.
Yes, sir.
Paul Przybylski, 1716 Washington Street. For transparency, what's the address on that property? Is it, does it have a description? Could you make that plump or read it into the record to make it?
There's a parcel number.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see it anywhere on the minutes. That's why I'm making the comment.
Okay, the parcel number is 46-01-28-377-037.000-022.
Okay, and where is it geographically located? Main Street? Okay.
It is Main Street. But I don't have the number.
Is there somebody wanting to acquire the property right now?
Yes. Yeah, they put a request on the last council agenda. So what we do pursuant to the policy of this board is we first check with all department heads to see if they have any objection.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is request for neighborhood placement signs. Where do we stand on those?
Spike Peller, Michigan City Engineer. As noted, the Central Services has signs, and that I had recommended that planning and police department determine where the placement is. My recommendation now is just that the police department needs to recommend the placement of these signs.
Do we need to keep it on our page?
I don't think so.
I think they already recommended where to place them.
Yeah, I thought they did too. So, okay, and I'll entertain a motion to remove it from our pending list.
Make a motion to remove the matter of the neighborhood watch signs for the 200 and 300 block of Tremont Street off the pending items list.
Support.
No further discussion, I call for a vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is request by Vera Foster, 221 Emma Street, requesting lights on the park and Broadway Street, updated playground equipment. Is there any further? Nothing going on? Okay, we'll keep it on the pending. Next item then is a request by Cora Cambridge, 220 Gladys Street, requesting street lighting on Gladys and sidewalks on Gladys Street. Traffic supposed to comment on this?
Yes, I think we reported on this several meetings ago, but since then we found out there's actually 3 light poles on that street. 2 of the light poles or lights were not working when we investigated it. At that time, we believed that all 3 were actually NIPSCO lights. It turns out that the light located in front of 227 Gladys is actually a privately installed light. So we would recommend the city install a NIPSCO light that would be paid for by the city. That'd be on pole number 223 over 062. It's in front of 227 Gladys.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? We had a request last meeting not to do anything with the sidewalks because and it would eliminate parking. So I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
Motion to approve the recommendation by MCPD to install a NIPSCO light at pole 223 over 162 on Gladys Street.
Second the motion.
No further discussion. I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is request by John Shalikian, 609 Franklin, to try to get access to his property and drainage issue on the South Franklin Street. Is there any further? Nothing more's been done on that? Is this a problem with the state or is it with the city?
Mr. York appeared at the last meeting and advised that the city doesn't own it.
If city doesn't own it, why they are plowing the snow, and they plowed this week and put all that snow and salt and dirt on my property?
Mr. Schlick, can I ask Mr. Farmer to be here today to address that issue? Because I know that this has come up before, and so I think that department, it's valid for them to bring an explanation whether or not they are truly doing that.
Okay.
So he's behind you.
This is 8 years I've been coming and coming. If the board wants something done, before even coming in front of the board is done out there. This been dragging and they're playing games. This is a game the city is playing. This is not the first time.
Mr. Farmer's ready to answer your question.
David Farmer, Michigan City Street Department Street Director. After investigating, we do not pile snow up on your property. You need to talk with Menards. They're the one that's doing it. The store Menards, they're piling snow up to your property, not the street department. We do not pile snow up in piles. We push snow and keep moving it.
This is not true because I talked to the driver who is plowing the snow, which is a city truck driver. He says, John, where do you want me to put it? Last year and year before.
Okay.
Well,
this game has been going on and on and on.
I'm not familiar with what truck driver you talked to, but none of our truck drivers pile snow up in piles.
You can say all you want, I see with my eyes.
Okay, John.
And what you want me to do? The same thing had happened on Cook Street. They promised that there is $5,000 insurance and the contractor will give me the damages they paid. Afterward, the contractor walked away. All the city department heads lied their heads off. This is enough from the city. That's all I can say.
Sean Fitzpatrick, 4th Ward Councilman. When we just had our recent winter flash a week or so ago, I was out at Menards and I did witness city trucks plowing that street between Meyer Drive and I guess where the other stores on that are on Franklin. And I observed the trucks plowing that road, and it didn't seem like at that time they were going directly into where the ditch is that is located adjacent to Mr. Shalakian's property, but I did see them moving it off, it looks like, to a pile on Menard's property. So I don't know if that was something they had worked out with Menard's or if that's where the breakdown occurs when it initially goes there and then is relocated or something as additional snowfall. So maybe Mr. Farm could clear that up. Thank you.
Yes, all the snow that is piled up there is out of the Menards parking lot. They push the snow back to the south. When we come through, we plow the snow and keep moving back towards the north. So we don't push any snow up in piles. When we come through, we make a circle, come around, push the snow back to the north. And we do not push it to the south and pile it up. I have witnessed Menards
snow service, pushing snow up in a pile from the parking lot. So I don't know where he got his information at, but I do believe it's not accurate.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? I'll entertain a motion as to how to proceed. Any legal advice? No?
Well, the original request was drainage issue.
And no access to the property.
Yeah. And I know the water department gave some advice as how he could get access to the property, running from the highway and contacting the state highway department. So at this point, with the department, or the city department's recommendation, I don't know if there's anything this board can do or make a motion.
Okay. All right.
I mean, other than maybe asking Mr. Farmer to once again speak with all the drivers and confirm that, that they are not putting any type of snow and pushing it on his property.
I have talked with all my drivers, and I know that we're not pushing the snow up to the south.
Okay.
So we've had this problem several times in the past, but I do anything I can to help him. I even came out and talked with him several times about it, but it's not the city pushing up snow to his property. It's definitely Menards. I have witnessed that.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Farmer, if it's Menard, so Menard is coming on the city street and then putting south on my property. How you're allowing this thing to happen? It's not a city street. Whose street is it? Why you're cleaning it up?
Is the complaint that Menards is pushing snow onto his property a civil matter that it needs to be taken up between property owners? It's not a city matter because it's not a city street.
Mr. Phillips, it's an ordinance of the developer that they have to give me access to my property, and that property is not finished. How Mr. Pugh, prior to you, accepted that so it will be plowed, it drained, it didn't. Mr. Delaportas did not do his job. It's his city's responsibility to follow up and to make sure that street is done properly and finished properly. It's the planning department's responsibility.
I don't know what you're discussing with the Board of Works. It's not a city street. We've done the research.
Why are you plowing it?
Are we? I don't know. I'm not.
Nobody knows nothing.
I'm not the department who covers street maintenance. So
it's been 22 years. It's not 1 year. It's not 2 years. It's been coming on, and nobody cares about it.
I don't know. It's not a planning matter. I guess you could refer it to the Central Services Department.
Mr. Phillips, I know you just walked into the meeting, but Mr. Farmers has already presented and explained testimony that they are not pushing snow.
Okay. Yes. And it's not a city street in terms of ownership. So.
Okay. If it's not a street, why are you plowing? That's the question.
Okay.
And it's destroying my property. All the salt, acids, chemicals, dirt from Menards to Myers comes all the way, gets pushed by the snow plow all the way in there.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion. Either leave it on or take it off.
I'd make a motion to remove this matter from our pending items list. It appears there's no solution to this. It appears also that the problem with the snow removal being placed onto Mr. Chalagian's property is a civil matter between Menards and him. And in addition, the street or area that he's referring to is not city-owned. We have no recourse to do anything about that.
Support.
Yes, sir.
I just have a point. I believe that Mr. Chalakian was here in the beginning looking for a road and to be completed. Whatever happened to, was that road that he's concerned with out there, was that supposed to be extended? And there's a wetland mitigation problem, and where have we ended up with this? I think that's what we need to get at here.
I'll address that. So, sorry, Craig Phillips, Planning Director. The Redevelopment Commission did previously on a couple of occasions work with trying to extend Town Center Drive over to Walmart Road, the Walmart access road, if you will. And the area between the end of the Town Center Drive extension to the southernmost extent of the Menards property, if you will, is wetland. And the first two times the city attempted to make that connection, the request for the method by which the mitigation of the wetland was requested was not approved by the Army Corps of Engineers. We are currently in contact with the Army Corps of Engineers through consultants to attempt to extend the road by working with the Army Corps to perhaps swap the requirement for mitigation of wetland onto another property, but that's pending. So we're currently in discussions working with Haas and Associates on trying to find a way to get that to connect. And we have made some headway with the Army Corps according to Haas and Associates, but it's pending. And that's as recent as a few months ago.
Okay. Thank you. He left.
Did he leave? Oh, he left. So we asked the question and he left. Okay.
There's no further discussion. We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Has the alley on McDonald's been done yet?
Good morning, Board. Skylar York, Assistant City Planner. We're just waiting on, I want to wait for the final approval from Sue. That's all, so that we know that everything's installed.
Okay.
I don't want to.
We'll keep it on
Just,
pending.
I'm sorry it keeps dragging out, but I think they need to build, I think they still got a fence and some plantings to do, but yeah, I'd like to just make sure it's complete.
All right. Thank you. Next item has to do with the sale of Fogarty Street property. Any further developments?
No.
Okay.
It's still the same as you left it 6 months ago. There's nothing new on my end, so it's on this board's plate as to whether or not you wanted to offer it for sale again.
Well, we had somebody wanted to buy it is where we started.
Correct, and then you had remonstrators in the neighborhood come and remonstrate against the sale, and you put it on pending.
I would say that with no activity on it for this long, I would entertain a motion or remove it from the pending item.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
I'll call for the vote if there's no further discussion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is order to demolish by this board, and we're working out an agreement with somebody that wants to remodel it. Has anything been done on that?
I know Mr. Stranton is here. I don't know where Miss Downs is, but I believe at this point Mr. Stranton was going to present the bond to Miss Downs. That was where we left this.
Hello, may I step up to the microphone?
Sure.
Hi, I'm Jason Stratton. Just wanted to come in and show my compliance with what the board asked, that I get a performance bond. The bond is still pending. The bond company said it was kind of an unusual bond, but I brought in the application to verify that we actually are proceeding with this and complying with what the board has asked.
Okay. Shall we leave it on or accept?
I would leave it on, but I don't know if you want to revisit it at the next meeting, maybe give it, 30 days out, yeah.
Okay. We'll take it up at our second meeting in December.
Second meeting in December. If I may say something, they'll probably have it all issued within a few days. So just come back second meeting in December then.
If that happens, get a hold of Miss Downs, and then she could come to our next meeting and say everything's been taken, and then we'll just take it off the pending.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, sir.
So, sir, the next meeting will be December 16th. That'll be the second meeting in December.
December 16th. Thank you.
Okay. No further items on our pending list. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Anybody from the public wish to speak at this time? I don't. Thank you.
I'm Michael Cuss, General Manager at Michigan City Sanitary District, and this is Pilar Caldra. She's with August Mack Environmental Company out of Indianapolis. We're here today to request a alley closure of the alley between Franklin Street and Pine Street, north of 10th, for an environmental testing. They need to drill a couple holes in the ground and get some groundwater sampling and soil samples, and then they're going to put the alley back. And the date for the closure is November 21st and November 22nd, and they have all of the insurance certificate and everything here. The work is being done to as part of a phase 1 and phase 2 environmental investigation in that area.
Checking out groundwater. Checking out groundwater.
Yeah, for the redevelopment commission work that they're doing in that area. Yeah. So if we could get approval.
So your request is just to close the alley?
Yeah, just to close the alley for those 2 days. Traffic will be rerouted around to the main streets, and if any local residents would need to get through there, they certainly could if, they could squeeze through.
And we submitted the request on Wednesday morning. I'm not sure what happened if Gail didn't receive the documents on Wednesday morning.
Okay.
They didn't make it to the agenda for some reason. But Wednesday morning, sorry.
You acquiesce, Captain?
Yes, I didn't review it, but I know there's only 2 houses located in that block of 10th Street, and they both have access to 10th Street, so we'd recommend approval.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Approve the request for closure of alley between Franklin and Pine Street for environmental investigation.
I'll second that motion.
For discussion, I call for the vote. You have a comment, sir?
Oh, not about this. I'm
Okay.
sorry, Mr. President.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else from the public wish to speak at this time?
Mr. President, just real quick, you had one more thing under public comment that came in late.
Did they leave? Or we have a request by the Michigan City Police Department to extend a physical test. Oh, this is just another one that we're delaying it because of physical capacity.
Yes, sir. So one of our Dave Cooney, the Chief of Operations with the Police Department. One of our sergeants was on light duty during October, which has held our physical fitness test, and he's requesting, since he is full duty now, that he has the ability to take the test.
Okay. Any further discussion? Not only entertain a motion. You got this.
I'll make a motion to approve the request to take the physical fitness test because the gentleman has been cleared. The officer has been cleared.
Support. For discussion, I call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Anybody else from the public wish to speak at this time?
Dwayne Perry, 2206 Maple Street. I'm just curious about the item that you discussed, the sale of some property on Fogarty Street. If it's kicked around for 6 months, like Ms. LePage said it has, your remonstrators are going to go away because the time of your meeting is inconvenient for people to attend, and eventually they get worn down and stop coming. I'm here, I took 2 hours off of work, which I'll make up later on, but not everyone has the luxury of being able to do that. I don't know what the issue is with that property, but my question to you, I guess, and I know you can't answer a question, or at least the council never did in public comment, but is the property going to be sold now? Do the local residents have any right to appeal it now, or is it?
We took it off our pending list.
What does that mean?
Nothing's going on with it now.
But the party that wants to buy that property will probably resubmit their offer, I would think.
Well, we haven't heard anything in 6 months.
So apparently they've moved away from it too.
That could be.
Okay, I was just curious about it. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public wish to speak at this time? If not, any board comment? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned.